Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. It's a very wet day in Dublin, I can promise you. I was due to be playing golf, but here I am instead talking dogs with two great pals of mine. The old Barry Caul, of course, my main man, the man that comes in and covers me at Shelbourne Park, and Tom Fitz from Limerick, who was lucky enough to be on site on Saturday night for the second round action in the Matchbook betting exchange Irish St Ledger. Tom, I'm going to start with you. Firstly, we sort of knew it. Well, we did know. We knew it before the opening round. We certainly knew it after the opening round. And now we know it after the second round. This is a cracking ledger. Unbelievable performances the other night.
Yeah, I think I say it every year. Like you're always delighted, and the same with the Kirby to see great dogs. But this year, and looking at the quarterfinals, it's top to toe. Anything could come out of it, and it's very hard to pick. I know we have our favourites in that, like we know it's very hard to pick. But yeah, it's brilliant, and it's a competition of the races as well. Like the first bend, the back straight. And it's hard to pick a winner. And looking at next week's ones, it's very hard to pick again.
Yeah,
So
it's very
brilliant.
tricky. As you said, there's real quality, and as you said, very competitive. That was the key to it. Barry Caul, you're standing in for the Exile dub. I just think the Exile one decided he didn't want to talk about it. There was too much to talk about. We'd been here till they've been talking dogs on Wednesday by the time he finished. Barry, from afar, how did it look?
Yeah, look, again, as Tom mentioned, it's a great competition at a high class quality entry, and it's still very hard to pick a winner. Like with 24 left, I think it's still around 5-1, maybe 11-2 with the sponsors to field. So, look, you could throw 3 or 4 darts at this and still not land on a winner. But look, great racing down there on Saturday night. Very competitive. There was no real runaway winners, I suppose. Heading into the third bend, every heat was still in the melting pot, really. So, yeah, great competition, but still no easier to pick the winner this week than it was last week.
Yeah, certainly no easier. Let's get into it. Let's start with the opening heat on the card. We couldn't see it live in Shelbourne Park. The Intertrack service didn't come back up until minutes before the seventh race, actually. So it was relatively good timing. But it did go to I'll Not Be Back, this lady. I tend to underestimate her at times, and we just saw her at her very best the other night, Tom. She pinged out, and after a stride, this contest is over. Trinity Junior needed to get the jump on her. When he's second into the opening corner behind her, I actually thought he ran a big race in defeat, Trinity Junior, but I'll Not Be Back. She's a star. Like, she is a track record holder around Greyhound Park. It's easy to see why.
Yeah, how could you not love the way she runs too? She seems to have the whole lot. She seems to be one that really could be there for the ultimate prize. She has it early, she has it late. She has the track record. I know it's 5-5, but she's getting the trip no problem in Limerick, and it's a tough trip to get. So, but she's a super bitch, like, and the way she ran the other day. And in fairness to Trinity Junior, he did everything. He didn't do a whole lot wrong, and just couldn't peg her back, like. So yeah, top class now. In fairness,
I personally think Trinity Junior was one of the bigger eye catchers of the night, Barry, because he is a dog that you would believe needs to front up. He ran a big race in behind this lady. I knew he was going to come on for the opening round run. I also got a text to suggest that from one of the owners. So Trinity Junior, fine run in the second, but I'll Not Be Back. Just another one of these superstar ladies that we have coming out of our ears at present, and another big night for the ladies.
Yeah, we'll touch on Trinity Junior in a moment. I think he's got a crack and draw next week's quarter final. But yeah, I'll Not Be Back. I'm like you, as you mentioned earlier on. If somebody had said to me 3 or 4 weeks ago, name your top 5 bitches in the country, she probably wouldn't have been in my top 5. But the night since I was in Shelbourne Park, and she beat a top class field, including Kilgraney, Sydney, and I think it was Karen Toohil in behind. And both of those dogs had every chance, and she just went further and further away from them. She backed it up then when she went down to Cork. She came from behind Scooby Duchess, who's high class on her day, and ran away from her and breaking the track record. And she's now won her last 4. She's past 3 years of age. Paul Hennessy seems to have these magic hands with these dogs. The older they get, the better they seem to run. The likes of Beach Avenue and Priceless Jet. And she's another one now, although not quite as old as those two old timers, but she's running as well as ever. Trinity Junior, he's won 6 of his 10 starts. And like, you look at the dogs that he was behind, Droopy's Edison, again last week, I'll Not Be Back. And he ran well to get to the final of the Puppy Stake in Shelbourne Park. So I think he'll have his day. I think he's well drawn next week in the quarter final. But yeah, you can't take much away from I'll Not Be Back. She's a bitch in form, and she's absolutely flying now.
Tom, Oakfront Cadet flew home for Chris and John Morrissey. He's always been a very, very strong runner. He catches the eye more often than not.
Yeah, and I could be wrong now, but I think he was in the Kirby originally when he started out too. So he knows Limerick well. He was in the Ledger last year. A friend of mine had him in a draw. And he's always there. He's always plugging away. A good, honest, a dog I love to see, a good, honest dog. And that's the one thing it looks like this year. We've a great field of honest dogs, they're trying. And his owner trained which I always worry about coming into the final stages, but they have experience, they've huge experience with the Oak Front prefix and all that, like, you know. So
yeah, they had one about 4 or 5 years ago. He was a very talented dog. I can't remember. It wasn't Oak Front.
07, I think it was.
Oak Front 07. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a different type of dog. Plenty of early dash, whereas this fellow is a big, powerful stayer. We'll move on to Heat 2. Again, I'll not be back just before we go. If you actually look at our card, lads, it's a bit ridiculous. You know, the card on Saturday night read 28-12 Cork, 28-02 Cork, 28-07 Shelbourne, 27-81 track record Cork, first round success 29-60, and then she backs it up with a 29-51. And for much of the night, looked like it was going to be the fastest time of the night, only for Vincenzo just to take a couple of spots off it. On to the second heat on the card. And this was a strange enough affair where Drombeg 10 set a strong gallop, but looked in serious danger when Drubys Edison turned second. Unfortunately, he seemed to lose his action a bit down the back straight. I dare say it's muscular. I hope he'll be back. He's obviously had an injury problem or two in the past, but he'll be given the best of care, no question about that, given his talent. Beach Avenue was then left second, and you think, wow, Beach Avenue second on the back straight, but sort of held up around the bottom two bends, Barry, and as he was being held up, Gaston Picas was starting to pick up and really motor, and he stayed to the inside. And he is a classic winner himself, of course. The Produce Stakes champion came through to land the spoils in a very tight finish from Drombeg 10 and Beach Avenue. Didn't go as we would have expected it to go, but a fine contest all the same.
Yeah, look, Gaston Picas, as you say, he is a classic winner, winning the Produce Stakes, but there would have been plenty of money lost in running in this race down the back straight when you see Beach Avenue turn second behind Drombeg 10, of course, the son of Grangery 10. It wouldn't be the strongest there in the world, you'd think. But look, Gaston Picas has form over 6-7 in Dundalk. He ran well down there. I think it was the night of the International. But I still thought Beach Avenue was going to get there into the third bend. As you say, he was held up a little bit. He probably forced a little bit wider than ideal off the last bend. I think he's only beaten a short head and a half length at the line. I'm sure the Heelys are just delighted to get him through. But look, a big run by Gaston Picas. Seems to be coming back to something like his best form. And look, ever since he won the Produce Stake, he's been racing in the top company. So look, he's definitely one there with a chance. 29.75. Look, it's not a bad run compared to some of the others on the night, but yeah, he's definitely in there with a chance. As of the first three, really, with their running styles, Drombeg 10, you'd expect him to go a couple more rounds with his early pace, and you could just never ride off Beach Avenue, can you?
Yeah, Pat Buckley's having a good competition, Tom. He does like to target competitions down at Limerick. He seems to like the place. Obviously, he's not too far away. Gaston Picas, you said it, a good, honest runner. This is another one of them. He's just a greyhound that just a real strong performer. And when the gaps open up, he has the pace to use it.
Yeah, and, you know, anytime you see Pat Buckley, it's kind of, this is my patch. Back off, lads, you know. He hates to see another trainer coming in, taking any of his local competitions.
I'll tell you, he hates it anywhere. Never mind this local track.
Yeah, you know, one of his son there that hurled with Limerick, you know, and the competitive nature is just unbelievable, you know, and it's do or die, you know, and you can see the strain on his face, and he feels under pressure. But that's all part of it. But yeah, definitely Gaston Picas, and he'd have been well schooled around Limerick. He knows every inch of it. He knows how to get home there. I saw Drupes Edison as well, and I thought he was a shoe-in, personally myself. It doesn't look too serious an injury. He went out the back door very quickly, like, you know, but it doesn't look too serious, like, you know, but hopefully he'll be back soon. Beach Avenue disappointed me big time, you know. He's a Lahal Blake dog, and I always question, I have littered myself getting home, you know, but he showed over the last 2 years, that was his trait. You know,
I was gonna say there's no doubt about him getting home now, right? Yeah. Let's put that out there.
Yeah, but it was just why he didn't get home. But look, the master, Paul Hennessy, has him. He'll have him tip top, and maybe that's the way it is. He's going to have him peaking for the semi-final final, which is
I think we can safely say that the Healy clan, Barry, will take third spot all the way to the final. And yes, again, you couldn't rule him out reaching the latter stages of another classic. What a star he has been. He
really is. And I just seen Niall Healy put up on Twitter, he was having problems watching the race at home, and he was saying, I'm just going to imagine that Beach's comments are quickly away. Led to the third pen, you know. And look, he wasn't too far away. He turned second, and as Tom said, probably a little bit disappointing. But how can you knock that dog now? He must be into a 70 or 80th race, and another big competition. So who wouldn't love to own him? You know that way, okay? Yeah. He hasn't won the big one, but look, he must be giving the lads some crack.
Yeah, indeed he can. On to Heat 3, Colgan Zoos for Neelis, Tom. This has been a local success. Pinged away, led all, although it got tight in the finish. Ballymore Border was coming at him, and in midfield, Dino. I don't think the winner of the Ledger is going to come from this contest, but Kilcolgan Zeus, member of a very, very good litter. Each and every one of them can run. This was only his third victory, but it was overdue.
It was. Karen Gagan's dog, again, would be well used to Limerick track, you know. I think the trio paid 400 and something euros, somebody said to me in the night.
I heard you at it twice.
Well, I wouldn't be here even if it was. But yeah, no. Again, he banged out and led and really drove on. Yeah, it was a great run. That heat didn't excite me either. I can't see the winner coming out of it. Even though we've all been proved wrong in the past, But yeah, no, a very good heat and a worthy winner. In fairness to him, will he do it again the next night? He's in stiffer, I'm not sure,
Yeah, the midfield Dino dog was third. He's running well for Rachel Wheeler. Just noticed that Rachel Wheeler had a very good winner at Clonmel on Sunday evening. She seems to have one or two nice dogs about her, Barry.
Yeah, and believe it or not, somebody asked me for this year's Derby something at a mad price to win the Derby. I said midfield Dino. Unfortunately, he didn't win the Derby. I think he went out in the first or second round. But he's a dog with plenty of pace, and he has been running again, like I say, against top company. Ballymore Border, he was a Dublin Cup winner. Don't think he's given him quite the credit he deserves. He's very capable on his day. I think he's 28-11 around Shelbourne Park.
We know exactly how capable he is.
He's very, very
he is 29-40 Shelbourne Park. Not too many do it.
Yeah, there you go. That's the type of form that could win you a ledger if you were to come out in front. And he is capable of coming out in front on his day. Look, it's good for Karen Gagan. She's a big supporter of the game in Shelbourne and down the country as well. So it's nice to see her with a good winner there. Her other two superstars have returned, the two razzle dazzle dogs. But yeah, it's nice to see her get a winner. And look, as Tom said, would he do it again? It's hard to see him do that sort of a run again. But if it was to take one out of that trio, it would be Ballymore Border. He's okay.
Yeah, it is going to get tighter for those three going forward. And moving on to Heat 4, where Vincenzo, now this fellow did take off 29-48. Deadly Showtime. I've been waiting for him to produce something like his best, and he probably did produce something like his best here. He pinged out, he got to the front early. It just so happens that he had a monster on his tail, Vincenzo. We know exactly how fast this dog was. It's a case of what if he had stayed in the Derby, Barry, but there's no question he is a massively fast greyhound, and this is the sort of form we were waiting for him to produce in the Derby, and it seemed to be coming. Sadly, had the injury ruled him out of the semi-final stages, but here he is, and he's a leading ledger contender for Pat Guilfoyle and Cheryl and Peter Sutcliffe. He's just a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, the trainer's not going too bad, really, is he, Pat Guilfoyle?
I tell you what now, keep an eye on him. He is a future in this game.
10 to follow, put him in at number 9 or 10. Listen, he's a high-class dog, Vincenzo, as we've seen. He's won 7 of his last 9 starts, and if you look back through his form, the only 2 dogs to beat him in those last 9 starts were Sentimental Lad and Coolavani Hoffa. So the form doesn't come much better than that. Look, high class on his day, as he showed. His last 2 runs in the competition, I think they're 29-56 and 29-40. It's something crazy like that. And Deadly Showtime, he's no slouch out in front as well. And the form stacks up in behind them. Look at Ballymac Run. She was an emphatic winner of the Racing Post TV Puppy Oaks at Shelbourne Park. So not only was the time there, the fastest time of the night on Saturday night, the form with the runner-up on the third in behind really backs it up. So yeah, he's definitely in the top 3 or 4 now. In the betting, he's right up there to win it out. So I can see him being another live one for Pat Guilfoyle.
Tom, if you were to build a dog for Limerick, it wouldn't be too far off Vincenzo.
No, and he's actually, if you pushed me for a dog, I've probably 2 in my mind, but he is the dog. I think once he keeps going about his business, he's the dog. He's a powerful runner and an aggressive runner. He drives through, and doesn't even think about it. Pat Guilfoyle, what can you say about Pat? In fairness, Pat does an awful lot of trialing in Limerick too, so Vincenzo will know that track. I think he likes to keep Vincenzo very fresh, and I think he's coming into this competition hungry and mad for running, and he looks that way. He definitely is. He is. Deadly Showtime. And the 3 qualifiers there, you wouldn't rule out any of them. You really couldn't. Liam Dowling, Carl Ramsbottom, Patrick Guilfoyle was a fair old heat. And in fairness, Scott Kelly Nestor, a great old servant. That was a very good heat to win, and to win in 29-48. Definitely those 3 that qualified are going to be there and thereabouts. I think.
I was just going through the previous winners. Skywalker Rory, he's Pat's previous ledger winners, not it? Skywalker right. Rory, yeah. No, Vincenzo was a proper greyhound, no question about it. Deadly Showtime second. Ballymac Run third. Gord Kelly Nestor, sad to see him going out of the competition. He's now in August 18. It may well be his final ever classic. We don't know. Listen, who's to say he couldn't rock up and go well in the Easter Cup? But he certainly, at his age, he owes them nothing. What a performer he has been. Sadly, no more in this year's ledger, but Vincenzo, just an amazingly fast greyhound. But
just while you're on that, Ian, sorry for cutting across you. I think as regards brute early speed in this competition, it might just be lacking a small bit. I know there's a lot of flash breakers. The likes of Vincenzo, if he comes away, he'd go to the bend early. Same with Ballinavola, Ed, and those type of dogs. But I think Deadly Showtime, and Trinity Junior. Those two probably stand out head and shoulders above the other two as regards brute early pace.
It was something we pointed out last week, that it's not a competition, whereas in the Derby you have some real sort of early speedsters, sort of 525 type greyhounds, even the odd sort of dog that stepped up from sprinting to take a chance in the 550, whereas this Ledger, a lot of true 550-yard greyhounds, so 575-yard greyhounds, 600-yard greyhounds. Like even Vincenzo would stay 600 yards in his sleep. You can imagine. I agree with you. I suppose that's why we started with the likes of Balnabola Ed and stuff, because he's not going to be taking on the real speed that he took on in Shelbourne Park. We'll get to him soon enough. On to Heat 5, where a dog showed plenty of early dash. We Can Dream. This is the Juvenile Classic winner. You win a Juvenile Classic around Tralee, you clearly have plenty of early speed. And Tom, he's a dog. It's been a bit of a stop-start for him, but Pat Guilfoyle once again got this dog back to himself. And Lars and Anita Wickander are living the dream with this greyhound. And We Can Dream made every inch of the running, although he had to be on the top of his game, because Bobsleigh Dream came with the most unbelievable charge from halfway, having lost her place at the opening corner. She's a lady running, with plenty of purpose at present. Magical Mary, slightly disappointing for Pat, actually, in third spot. That's twice in a row she sort of turned close enough to the pace. You'd imagine, given her power, that she'd be finishing a bit faster than she has, but she's still there, and we know how good she is around Limerick. She has some exceptional form there, but again, this is one of those heats where any of these three could go on to have a big say in the Ledger.
Yeah, and if you look at the whole thing, you also had Cheerio in there at Lacazette and Hazel Hill Hazard. That was a fair heat, to be fair now, 29.64. We Can Dream, I followed him from Tralee when he won the Juvenile Classic in Tralee, and I thought he was the dog. Went back a bit. I don't know what the problem was. Maybe I suppose the young dogs coming into these competitions, can they take that ferocity early on? But he's starting to come again, and he's starting to really, really show what he can do. And he did the other night, Magical Mary, Pat Guilfoyle again. The two of them started around the same time. Was I in her first race? Or I was there the same night anyway. She won her first race. I think it was 28:07 or something she did.
Sure, you'd have no chance picking her up. What are you? Sure, you're late 40s, are you?
just younger than you, Ian, But ferocious bitch, and a staying bitch now, I know Pat Guilfoyle turned down huge money initially for her, because that was his future breeding line, he said, and wouldn't you love to have her, the whole litter are good, that whole Mystical Model, Droopy's Jet litter are good. But definitely, and then Bobsleigh Dream, I thought, again, Pat Buckley, she knows the track very well. She in the Derby this year. I think she went very well in the two for a bitch. We're spoiled with bitches. You have two top class bitches there: Magical Mary, Bobsleigh Dream, and you could see three of those making it through. The next night is going to come down to luck. My God, trying to get through the heats the next night now with the first bend and the whole lot, and that's what's going to separate them. It's not so much quality, because they're all top class quality. It's going to come down to a lot of luck.
The way I got to put it to you, Barry, is that they are three performers that if you saw them in front of you, you go, we're in trouble here. That's how good they are. We Can Dream was obviously a good winner from the front, but I think Bobsleigh Dream was very much the eye catcher. I think there's a little bit of jealousy in her. I think she really said, no, to hell with this. After this early traffic, I'm going to get up there. Do you know what I mean? There's a real will to win about her.
Yeah, look, I'd put the two of them in the similar sort of a bracket, really. Magical Mary and Bobsleigh Dream, both incredibly fast. Who wouldn't love to have them? But I just think for this sort of competition, as we mentioned, there's no real brute early speed in this competition, but I can see a couple of strong runners turning in front of both of them, and it's going to be hard to pick them up. It's not so hard to pick up the real fast early pace dogs, the likes of a Deadly Showtime or a Trinity Junior. Those two ladies could pick them up, but I can't see them picking up some of the slightly stronger runners. Look, as I say, both incredibly fast and could go another couple of rounds the way they finish. Back to the winner again for Pat Guilfoyle, another dog running out the top of his game. He's won 3 of his last 5. And his last 2 defeats have been against Swords Rex and Romeo Magico. He's been a competition dog since he started his career, really. He hasn't even run in the top competitions, won the first round of the Derby, and he looks to be back to something like his best, 278. I think that was the fastest sectional on offer there at Limerick on Saturday night. So, again, if we could put him in the same bracket as a Trinity Junior and a Deadly Showtime, if he's clocking 29.64 off the front, you're not going to be too far away from winning this year's Ledger, the way the track is going.
Yeah. I think we'll move on, because the next heat could take a few minutes. It was Bocco's Crystal and Balnabola Ed. It was a wonderful tussle. I think we saw how you get Balnabola Ed beaten. If you challenge him at there's a point in the race where if you challenge him, just deny him his run, he can be beaten. It happened the other evening, because he led into the corner. He's challenged. He's disputing it off the second. He goes to the front again, but on that third bend, he definitely edges in. takes a little bump, checks his own stride, and then swings a little bit wide off the final bend. He came with an unmerciful rattle up the home straight to be beaten just in 29.54. It was a remarkable run by the runner-up, but back goes Crystal. What a lady. This lady is absolutely running out of her skin. We went through her last 8 or 9 starts last week, but she just continues to run at the very top of her game. She was very lightly raced sort of coming into the serious part of the season, and she has improved for runs against the very best in training. And we're looking at a bitch now that has to be classed amongst the very best in training, Barry Caul.
Yeah, 11 top 2s in our last 12 starts. We're talking about I'll not be back being a bitch in form. This bitch is really running at the top of her game. She's won 7 of her last 12. And I know a lot of people were disappointed with Ed's run, but I mean, how can you pick up a 600 winner and a good 600-yard winner? That was a top-class competition when she won the Yvonne Barry 600 at Shelbourne Park. And there is such a thing in greyhound racing, believe it or not, as dogs having their heart broke. And I think he just had his heart broke there on Saturday night. At the first bend, she sort of forced him off. He was coming again at the third bend. And like, he's putting in, what's he clocking? 29.59, and he can't get to the front. You know, it is a little bit heartbreaking for him, but it's going to be very, very hard to come from behind a 600. Not a classic.
I still think there's 29.10 in him. Genuinely, I think if you push the foot down some night, he'll blow holes in the best in training. I just think he's that immensely talented, and I'm not sure she broke his heart because he was right back at her at the line, and he was really pursuing it. You know,
but I don't think he ever went past it. He went past maybe when right at the escape, but look, it's very, very hard to come from behind a pitch like that, especially trying to go around the outside of it. He is incredibly fast, balling the ball at Ed, and I know he's not a lot of people's cup of tea, and there was a couple of question marks about him, but I thought he done nothing wrong. As I say, you're trying to pass one of the best bitches in training, well, not only the best bitches, but one of the best dogs in training, who has form over 600 yards and is running at the top of her game. So look, I think the top 2 done nothing wrong there. Big futures ahead of them, and Anna Bailey ran well. Rachel Wheeler back in third place.
Massive run. This is not the first time. Not the first time he's caught our eye, Barry. You know, he came in for very strong support one night in the Derby. They obviously knew they had a greyhound, and he's shown loads of pace in the subsequent starts. He struggled to get on the bunny early, and that's the key with him. If he just found that start, get on the bunny early, I think there's a big run in him. But Tom, I'm jealous of you because you were in Limerick on Saturday night. This was the sort of race that it means more when you're on the stands watching it. And I'd say the place there was a fair buzz about it.
There was, because Ballinaboula, Ed is a local favourite, even though he's owned down in Wexford by the Murphys. But he's still a local favourite, and there'll be a lot of support behind him for the outright winner. To see him getting bumped back below, I went, oh, we see what he's made of now, like, you know. But he did, as you said, he came back there again. I always have the question mark about him, you know, that he's such a good dog. Why hasn't he won more yet? I know he's very young. He's won 10 grand, I suppose. It's not too bad either for a young dog. But to see him coming back the other night, I said, oh, this fella is mad for road, you know. I like to see that in a dog. You know, we always give dogs maybe too many excuses. Sometimes they get a bump and they go back and we say, oh, the bump put him off. He got the bump and he came back again, like, you know. So it shows a good dog that does come back and go for it. Bacchus Crystal, another bitch. The country is absolutely awash with top class bitches. Unfortunately, I don't have one, like, you know, but yeah, brilliant. And Rachel Wheeler, Anna Bailey, dark horse, I think there, you know. If he keeps qualifying, who knows? Rachel, she's only out the road. She's about 20 minutes out the road from Missing Golden. She does a lot of trialing in Limerick. That's the one thing about a lot of these dogs. There's a huge amount of them being trialed in Limerick, you know.
Yeah,
so they know how to come home.
We're talking about 2 of the very fastest in training here in Bacchus Crystal and Ballinaboula Ed, and he's beaten less than 3 lengths with them. You know what I mean? Yeah. After them getting a start, it says plenty about his ability.
It does, and you know, as you keep saying, all you need to do is take third place, all the way to the final. You know, he finished third place the other night. He was second the week before. You know, and that's all you need to do. And anything can happen in the final, as we've seen down through the years with underdogs winning finals. You know, and Rachel Wheeler is no slouch. She knows exactly how to do it and how to get a dog there to the final and win it too. You know, so yeah. I wouldn't write him off. I wouldn't write any of them off again. You know,
no, certainly
as
not.
we said from the very start, the quality in this ledger is absolutely unreal. You know.
And the strength in this ledger is unbelievable. Anna Bailey there, Belmore Fantasy, his dam is actually a little sister to Law Hill Duke, who does he still hold a 600-yard record at Shelbourne Park, Barry? I think he does.
Sentimental lad that broke it, didn't he?
No, he broke the 575 record.
Oh, sorry, 600.
Still a 600 record. Well, let's move on. I have a feeling we'll be talking a bit more about Bacchus Crystal and Ballinaboula later on, because
Ian, just to mention there, Ronnie Woods bred that Bacchus Crystal. You know, Ronnie, I don't know if you know Ronnie.
I know, you know Ronnie.
He's a great man, and he puts so much into the game, you know, and the breeding he does, you know, and it's great to see that kind of a dog coming, a bitch coming out for Ronnie and those breeders.
And Barry just mentioned her half brother, Sentimental Lad, the 575-yard record holder at Shelbourne Park, Ronnie Woots again. And I think there's another, isn't Bocco's Palace, who's just gone across to the UK, competing tonight in the Eclipse at Nottingham. Another half, or he's a full brother to Bocco's Crystal, a very talented tracker indeed. Oh yeah, Ronnie has he's having an effect in the game.
Great guy.
What was his Derby finalist? Rock Chase Bullet, was it?
That's right. Yeah,
Rock Chase Bullet.
Bullet. That was it.
Very fast.
Great to see Ronnie at it,
Yeah, Ronnie,
great guy.
Good guy, and certainly knows how to do a dog. We'll move on to Heat 7 because Romeo Magico won, but I think we've got question marks, Tom. He looked like he was going to win 5 lengths off the second bend, comfortably opened up a gap on Bocco's Buds, his kennel companion, who had been held up slightly in the corner by the fast starting Clune Turk Bruno, who absolutely rocketed it into the opening corner. But Romeo Magico showed great early speed to take it up on the bend, but faded badly in the closing stages. Are we putting that down just to maybe a touch of cramp or something else? But I see no report on the weekends from the Riverside Kennels to suggest there's anything amiss. Maybe it was just one of those things that he cramped up a little bit. Perhaps he's still coming back into himself. He is relatively lightly raced in recent weeks. Yeah,
Romeo Magico, I can remember him 2 years ago in the Kirby. He got to the final of the Kirby, and he was a lot of people's favorite. He kind of went off the show then, and then he came back with the win the English Derby this year. What a dog! What a thing to do! Seems to be off the boil. I thought he should have been home and hose the other night, I would question, will he see out the 550 in Limerick? It's his magical bail. He should see it out. When you come in English Derby, why wouldn't you see it out? But I just definitely the other night he did cause me question marks, and he would have been one of my early favourites. He's not anymore, I just like to see him doing a bit more. Great kennel. There could be nothing wrong with him, So why didn't he do more the other night?
Yeah, I have no problem with the stamina department. I think he's a much stronger greyhound this year, Barry, than he was last year. But just the other night, it was a touch alarming.
It was. I've watched this race about 5 or 6 times, and I'm still scratching my bald head about it. I just don't know. Okay, it's only his 3rd race back since September. Now, he's had plenty of trials, and I'm sure he's been well schooled down in Graham Holland's Riverside Kennels. But for Bocco's Buds to get back within a short head of him, Bocco's Buds is a great greyhound, but I don't think he should be able to pull back maybe 3 or 4 lengths on Romeo Magico down the far straight or the back straight. The only thing I will say is, and this is all I can come up with after delving into the race, Willie Rigney says that all about Annie, her future lies over 6 bends. Stories Pee-wee we know would be better over 6 bends, and even the dog that finished at the back of the field, Clune Turk Bruno, he's got some good form over 550 and a lot of run-ons on his card and stays well. So maybe when they all went past the line, there's strong types going past them after the line, but it didn't look great.
Yeah, my thing is forget about after the line. I'm just talking to the line because Bocco's Buds shouldn't be picking up 3 or 4 lengths on him.
Yeah, but at the first bend, the second time around, everything has gone past him. That'll be more alarming for me. But look, there was a lot of strong runners in the race, but the time was probably 4 lengths off his best, maybe even more. But look, he's in trap 1 in the quarterfinal. He's still there, and you wouldn't be standing up putting 2 to 1 or 5 to 2 against him next week in the quarterfinal if he turns up.
Certainly not. 17:29 for Romeo Magico to the 3rd bend is really motoring. Yes, the 29.88 is a bit worrying considering how quick he was to the 3rd bend. But if all's right and he stands up and he's if he's amongst the runners next week, it's one of those where you'd actually forget about the run. Because if you're sure that he's well in himself, it's just one of those runs you can just put down as one of those things. We'll move on. Actually, Bocco's Buds didn't get to the front. He's still there. He is one of those dogs, Barry, with the early speed. For that reason, he still has to be in the reckoning.
Yeah, he is. And I mentioned this before during the year. If you have a dog, an early pace dog, a wide seed, you're going to go well in competitions. And he's one of few wide seeds left in the competition. So he's going to be almost guaranteed 6. Look, he's got that was a huge run to come from behind Romeo Magico and nearly pick him up. But look, we know he's better off the front. He's a Race of Champions winner, and he's got some smashing form in the book. So he's going to keep on drawing 6, and he's going to be thereabouts.
Yeah, let's get to the final heat because 2 of our favourites are in action in this one. Mustang Jet showed all the early speed. A fastest of the round, 17:18 to the 3rd bend. Tom, he really was putting it down to that point, but there was plenty of people leaving the stands after the race, and the one name on their lips was Ballymac Wispa. She is I'd point her out in the Cork, and I should have been on her each way in that event. I should have been on her each way in the Ledger too, because it's going to take a bomb to keep this one out. She's She's 10 back at one point. She's beaten what? Is it a half length? Is it even a half length? Half length in 29.62. She's just an absolute aeroplane from that second bend.
Yeah, another bitch again,
Yeah.
And the one thing we always know about Dowling's runners, he seems to start them very young and they're super, super fit. How many of us would have been brave enough to run up the laurels and then say, right, we'll take on the ledger. Let's go 10 weeks in a row and try and win both of them,
I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it, take a breath out of her.
They wouldn't take it out of her. They wouldn't take it out of the Dowlings either, They're great doggy people to produce the dogs, and they've great history with the ledger there. They've won it twice in the last 3 or 4 years, Ballymac, yeah, I'd love to have her. She's a really exciting bitch. Mustang Jet, he was actually one of my picks from the very start. He did a great run as a 29.11 or 28.11 in the trial before the competition started. He has it all. As Barry said there a minute ago, if you're an out-and-out wide runner, in Limerick, you have a huge chance. The camber, especially in the first bend, my worry about him is he is sweeping that first bend so hard. He did in the first round, he did it again the other night. He's either going to get himself in trouble or he's going to cause trouble. Hopefully, if he comes off the better side of it, he's away in a hack. If he doesn't, he could be in trouble. But he sweeps down off that camber and really takes that bend. Struggling a little bit to get home, but sure, the Maestra Dolores Ruth has him I think she's getting him fitter and fitter and fitter as he's coming through this competition. So I think he'll be all the stronger for it, And then Ballymac Joey, Dowlings again. How could you bet against them,
Out of the fastest bitch that ever raced at Shelbourne Park over 525 and 550 yards, Ballymac or Minta.
That's right.
She was I think she still has the fastest times for both 550 and 525 at Shelbourne Park. Could be wrong about the 550, but certainly for the 525, very fast lady. But he's very strong as well. And I suppose that might make it look as Mustang Jet isn't coming home that well. Okay, the clock is 17:18, 29.62. So he has given away a couple of lengths. But as you say, if he is getting loose early, it's a case of come and catch me, and he's not going to be an easy dog to catch because you're not catching you're not taking an inch off into the third bend. It's only from the third bend home.
It is winter conditions, I suppose. We should bear that in mind. It is a trickier one we're everywhere to get home in winter conditions. But actually, look, the connections who have him, that says it all. They'll have him right as rain, and they'll have tip top, and there'll be no fear of him, I think, unless. What I can see happening is he could possibly cause trouble in behind him above that first bend, and he could be too far, as you said, catch me if you can, lads, that he'll be that far ahead. That's the way I'd see it panning out.
Barry, we've known about Mustang Jet for a while. He was always a classy individual. He was actually a dog that came in for sort of the last week or two ahead of the Derby. A lot of people found themselves in the Mustang Jet camp, and it just didn't quite happen for him in the Derby. But you can see that he's really developed into the near finished article. Yes, he does drive a corner, but it's not a bad thing a dog drives the corner. It's only a bad thing if there's a dog there to actually stand in your way. There's not too many in this competition that will be able to match him to the event.
No, he was very good at the beginning of this year's Derby. He won the first 2 rounds, and he was a little bit unlucky in round 3. I think he was second or third into the first corner, and he was just pushed off, and that ended his Derby chance. But look, he's only had 2 runs back. That was only his second run back since September. So as Tom said, he's probably not getting home, but he's entitled to improve an awful lot. Like as you say, we know him from Shelbourne Park. If he was in front in the 550, there's not many going to pick him up. When he was running there and when he was fit and he had a couple of runs under his belt. So I don't think there's many going to pick him up, bar the likes of a Ballymac Whisper who was flying home. But look, I think he might have even returned a stronger dog. His trial back in Newbridge, 17:39. That's an incredible run for the 325 in Newbridge, and he's won his only 2 starts, 29.67, 29.62. I think he's returned a better dog than he was in the Derby, and look, he's a great woman at the end of the lead in Dolores Route. So yeah, drawn 6 again. I think he can go far, and I think, as I said, I think he's returned a better dog than he was in the middle of the year.
Ballymac Whisper, Ballymac Joey. Ballymac Joey sort of sneaking under the radar a little bit. He's only beaten a half length and a neck, but obviously Ballymac Whisper was so far back off the second bend. It's just another run that highlights her unbelievable power.
Yeah, she's something else. Like to come from, and I mentioned this in the Talking Dogs Roadshow down in Cork. It's hard to believe she's won an open sprint. Like, can you imagine the way she's running now, and she's won an open sprint race. Look, she's always going to keep qualifying, isn't she? Because she's not going to be anywhere near them going into the first bend. So, yeah, look, a little bit of trouble up front. She can pick her way through. You definitely wouldn't be laying her at long odds to go all the way. And she looks a shoe in, maybe if you can get a bit of each way, first 3, first 4. She looks a shoe in to make the final and she's always going to pass a couple on the way home, isn't she?
Tell you what, if you can get first 4 now for me, I'll be more than grateful. I'd say the first 4 is well and truly disappeared.
No, it's still there. It's still there.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
well,
still there.
Okay. Right, on to the quarterfinals, because there are 4 heats well worth looking at. We've spoken of all these greyhounds, obviously enough. Heat 1, Weekend Dream is in 1, Midfield Dino 2, Deadly Showtime 3, Kilcolgan Zoo is 4, Buckles Buds at 5, and Beach Avenue in 6. And while we have mentioned that there's probably not as much early speed in this ledger as there has been in other classics, there happens to be plenty of early speed in this one with Weekend Dream, Deadly Showtime, even Kilcolgan Zeus went up fast the other night, and Buckles Budset. And then you're going to have the likes of Midfield Dino and certainly Beach Avenue rattling home. It's an intriguing contest. I'm not sure there's a shock result. If I had to pick something, I'd probably go with Buckles Budset, but it's very much a token selection. Tom, what about yourself?
Yeah, Weekend Dream, is he in too close? If not, the way he's coming, I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Kilcolgan Zeus, if he ran the other night, Buckles Budset, yeah, would be my choice. Probably pops to him or Weekend Dream. Beach Avenue to be finishing stronger. If he has it in him, definitely he'll be thereabouts. So it's hard to pick 3. Midfield Dino is going to be coming home. Deadly Showtime. Yeah, it's hard to pick.
It's hard to pick 1, let alone 3.
Yeah. Weekend Dream, if he breaks and he's not too close, too far in, I think he likes 2 or 3 more than he likes to be in that far. But he'd be my pick, I think, and he's followed home by Beach and Buckles.
Barry?
Yeah, it's tough. Weekend Dream obviously has great early pace, but going from 4 the last twice into trap 1 can sometimes catch them out a little bit. I'd be siding with Deadly Showtime. I thought he ran well last week for Carl Ramsbottom. I know when he was beaten in Shelbourne Park a couple of weeks ago behind Toolmaker Wild, Carl was a little disappointed with him, but Toolmaker Wilds went on to win his 2 in a row since after that, so maybe that form wasn't too bad. He ran well last week behind Vincenzo. Like anything getting within 2 lengths of Vincenzo, the way he's running is going to take a bit of beating. Look, Weekend Dream's got plenty of pace, but sometimes going from 4 to 1 can catch him out a little bit. Buckles Budget, he's not always the most consistent at traps, so I think maybe Deadly Showtime, if he leads, there's nothing really like you have Beach Avenue in there, but I don't think there's anything like a Vincenzo. If they turn within a length of him, we'll pick him up. So I'll go with Deadly Showtime.
I wouldn't mind as consistent at boxes as Buckles Budset. It must be
said.
But
you know what I mean?
I do tend to agree with you. I think Deadly Showtime, if he does happen to go around on the bunny, I'm not sure there's a Vincenzo in behind him. I think there's a good angle there. I think they'll bet that relatively tight. Moving on to the second heat, Bobsleigh Dream is in 1, Trinity Junior 2, Magical Mary 3, Buckles Crystal in 4, Ballinaboula Ed 5, and Oakfront Cadet in 6. 3 bitches, 3 dogs. The 3 bitches are all immensely fast. Bobsleigh Dream is on the fence. She'll be looking to stay to the fence and pick her way around into a challenging position. Trinity Junior will look to go up fast from trap 2. Magical Mary, she's just running hard throughout. She's going to need to just pick up in recent outings to get involved. Buckles Crystal is surely going to attempt to go loose and on the bunny. So too Ballinaboula Ed in 5, and Oakfront Cadet will be doing his best work late in 6. I've no doubt, despite the result last week, that Ballinaboula Ed will start favourite, and he would be my choice. I think the fact that Buckles Crystal's in 4 next to Ballinaboula Ed will actually suit him, because while she might be tracking across to the corner, I think he'll certainly go up straight as a dive from trap 5, and then it's a case of whether he can clear them. Trinity Junior could a potential thorn in their side because he's going to go up fast on the inside. This could be the final, Tom, and we wouldn't be disappointed with it.
No, you wouldn't, would you?
No.
Even as you said, trying to pick winners out of it, and we're all saying if this happens and if that happens, I expect Ballinaboula definitely to be down to the bend ahead of Oakfront Cadet, and that should give him a clear run. Trinity Junior is going to be there. Magical Mary is going to be finishing strong. Buckles Crystal the bitch and Bobsled Dream. How can you?
Yeah. You could talk yourself into 4 of them. I'm struggling to back Magical Mary or Oakfront Cadet, but I can certainly make claims for the other 4.
Yeah, you're looking for falls, and it's the wrong thing to be doing. We're meant to be looking for everything that accentuates the dog. We're looking for falls here that maybe this will catch him and maybe that will catch him. But I honestly, I couldn't pick. I expect Ballinaboula Ed to go to win it, but absolutely Buckles Crystal, Bobsled Dream, Trinity, any of them could win it. And do you know what? I wouldn't write Oakfront Cadet out of it either.
Of making the frame, sort of sneaking into the frame.
Yeah.
It's going to be very competitive up front, you would imagine. Barry Caul, it is one of those races. Ballinaboula Ed went out of the quarterfinals in English Derby, quarterfinals of the Irish Derby. He's hoping to survive a quarterfinal in the Ledger.
There's the mockers putting them there now. I think this is the bet of the night. I think Trinity Junior is a cracking bet in this race. I think Bobsleigh Dream and Magical Mary aren't going to cause him any trouble earlier on. I don't see Bocco's Crystal going up with him if he can trap level. I think if he traps level, he leads around, and I think there's a 29.50 in the dog, and I think the way the track is running, I think 29.50 is good enough to win it. As I say, he'd won 6 of his 4-7. He's running in top company. To only be beaten 2.5 lengths behind I'll Not Be Back, who's arguably running at like one of the top bitches in the country at the moment, and to hang on to her coattail after turning second behind her was a big run last week. And I think Peter Cronin's charge, as I think there's more to come from him. There's no problem with him leading up the inside runners 1 and 3. He has to lead them up. Ballinabola Ed, question marks about him, and I think if Trinity Junior can get a length or 2 down the back straight, I don't think he'd be picked up. I think he could get maybe 4-1, 9-2. I think he's going to be a great bet on Saturday night.
Full disclosure, I've had 2 bets in the competition, and they are Trinity Junior and Ballinabola Ed. Talked myself into Ballinabola Ed last week, and just when I looked at the makeup, I thought Trinity Junior would improve considerably for his opening round effort, and while he was beat the other night, I was very impressed with him. Yep. I'd be happy if they finish first and second now, let it be said, but it's a very, very hot contest. Bobsleigh Dream is going to be very hard to keep out of frame. Bocco's Crystal is going to be bang up there contesting, and as we said, Magical Mary and Oakford Cadet, both immensely powerful, so you can't rule any dog out in that contest. It really is a dinger. On to Heat 3, where I'll Not Be Back again has found a kind draw on the fence. The presence of the early speedster Drumbeg 10 or immediate outside isn't ideal, but you know, if she hits the lid, you'd imagine she'll hold him into the corner. Gaston Picas after his fine run the other nights in 3, Ballymac in 4, Vincenzo's in 5, and Mustang Jet in 6. And we know what Mustang Jet does at the corner. Tom, I hope you haven't sort of foretold this scenario. It's going to get pretty tight on that opening bend, because you can be sure 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 go up fast, and then it's for the other 2 to try and sneak in behind them and get their good pitch. This is another contest that could be, you know, fitting of the final itself, Tom.
And 3 good dogs are going to go to this race, you know, and it'll be a shocker to see it. Yeah, as I said earlier on about Mustang Jet, he really drives that bend. Will Vincenzo be inside him, or I don't know. I definitely see trouble at some stage with the way Mustang Jet is driving the bend. If he comes off the bed of it, he's away and home. If he gets into trouble, he could be in serious trouble and driven out, you know. Vincenzo is he's a powerful dog. He really, really wants to run and win as well, like, you know. I'll not be back. She should slip up the inside. Yeah, but Gaston Picas is going to be coming home like a train. Ballymac, if she goes out of it, I can't see her going out of it. But look at that, the quality of that race. How can she qualify coming from that far back, you know? And that goes for any dog that's behind. Who's going to come from behind to get up to qualify?
I think Tom's going to need to lie down after this. We're really working him hard, aren't we?
You can see the as he's looking at the heat, you almost see the little hamster, you know, going, holy God, what am I going to say about this? Like, I tend to agree with him. I don't know what to make of this heat. I'm not even sure. Like, I'm sure probably Vincenzo will be made favourite, but you know, if you were a layer,
Jet, do you think ahead of Jet?
I think Jet will be third in.
Do you?
I don't think he'd be second favourite. Barry, what's your take on it?
I was just thinking that I think it could almost be 3-1 the field. I really do. Look, okay, Vincenzo probably has the best of the draw. 3 and 4 shouldn't go up well, so he should have plenty of room on his left. He's not a stupid dog, if you know what I mean. He knows how to track his way around.
Mustang Jet, while he is driving the corner, if he has a big 70-pounder on his inside, or Drumbeg 10, a big 80-pounder, even further in on his immediate inside, he's not just going to drive straight in on top of them. He's going to stay his line if they are on his inside. If they're half length behind him now, it could be a different scenario. But if they're level, he's not going to just jump into them for the sake of jumping into them.
No, he won't. But then again, look, you look to the inside. If the bitch does 286 again, like, what's going to pick her up off the front? You know that way. So it's a layers race. If you could lay anything in that race at 5-2 or 3-1, you'd lay it, because you've got 3 really live ones running for you, and you'll also have Ballymac who'll be flying home as well.
I have to tell you, like, the way they're going to bet it, they're probably going to make 1, 5 and 6 that's big 3 in the market, which means the Ballymac is going to have to be 4-1, 9-2, 5-1. You know, yeah, she's going to be tiptoeing in behind and looking for the gaps and any traffic up front, and she'll be landing there late. You know, she'd be my choice for a tokenistic bet, just in case. Do you know what I mean? But
it could be the type of race you could be sitting at the Matchbook computer going, right, what's the shortest price here, and just lay that. It really is.
No, really that's not a bad little sort of way of thinking about it. We'll move on to the final heat. I was going to say it's because it's a bit easier, and it is a bit easier. Unfortunately, it's made a bit more complicated by the run of Romeo Magical last week, because if if it is Romeo Magico after the Cork run and he comes straight into this contest, he is an incredibly short price. As it is, you know, you'd have to sort of just be wary of his run last week, and it's very competitive. I think my first look would be Anna Bailey. Just you know, it's a contest where he could certainly lead up 4 and 6. You know, Romeo Magic up the inside tends to miss the kick and arrive with a bit of a rush. Maybe Anna Bailey's on the outside and could avoid it if there is a bit of crowding on the inside. But it's an intriguing contest. Romeo Magico, Ballymac Joey, Ballymac Run, all about Anna Bailey and Ballymore Border. It's a really it's a look-on race, to be truthful, Tom.
Yeah, and you're probably calling it right, but Ballymore Border in the short splits the other night did 293, the week before 286, and the Bailey 294, 299, all about Annie 288, 301. They're the short splits. Yeah, to the bend, definitely Anna Bailey should be up there, and that should give her the run. Ballymore Border is going to be finishing strong. Romeo Magico, I have a question mark about Romeo Magico, the way he ran the other night, you know. But he's a top quality dog, and if he's in the competition, if he's there Saturday night, the Hollands have no problem with him. He'll be fine, you know. So I wouldn't write him out unless he had. Look, we're knocking him. He still did a ferocious 29.82 the other night, like, you know. But
it is a point that he was at his heaviest the other night. Raced at 83 pounds. He's never raced at 83 before. 82, 81. I'm not sure what he raced at in England, but you know, if he turns up and he's there in Trap 1 on Saturday night, Barry, he's going to be odds on.
We all get a little bit heavier with age, so I wouldn't hold that against him, you know that way.
Yeah, I tell you what now, so some more than others.
He must be very old, lads.
Listen, this dog owes nobody anything. So if he's not 100%, he will not run on Saturday night. He's won an English Derby. He's gone past 3 years of age. And he's with one of the greatest trainers in the country. If he's not 100%, he won't be there on Saturday night. So you can take it if he's there. He's 100%. He's not 99. He's 100%. And look, okay, I know his trapping can be his Achilles heel at times, but if he comes away within a half a length of any of them, he should drive up the inside and he should win. There's nothing in this. Okay, 29.88 last week, but we know if he's on form, he does a 29.50. Nothing in this field is capable of doing a 29.50. So for me, if Romeo Magico runs on Saturday night, he wins. Okay,
I haven't asked you this question, but I am writing down what I believe will be your answers. Tom, you're going to be on top. Barry, you're going to be on the bottom.
Aye.
What wins the ledger? Tom.
If you Vincenzo, I think all going well.
Barry.
Trinity Junior.
Can you see that? Vincenzo and Trinity Junior. Back to front, but they were the two dogs I put down. I could just sense by you lads, and I couldn't disagree with you in a sense, but I will go with Ballinabulla Ed. I think the time is right. I think looking at him the other night that there is an absolute monstrous run in him very soon. I'm hoping it will come in the final, but it's a really wonderful ledger. Tom, we didn't touch upon it. What was the crowd like on Saturday night? How were the weather conditions? Obviously, you know, we're in the very late stages of November now. It's going to be finishing on the 10th of December. So, you know, the weather is going to be a bit of an issue, but it's not distracting from the crowd.
No, we had a brilliant crowd again Saturday night and the week before for the first round. A huge crowd. Crowds are coming back. There's no question about it. We had stag nights, we had hen nights. It's great to see, and they create a fantastic buzz. You know, there's an awful lot of people that might be going to the track. They go a couple of times in their lifetime, but those people, the buzz that they give and the roar and the shout and the excitement, they kick it off. And then I think the doggy man gets in behind it. Then, you know, it really feeds into it. Conditions, we're in winter conditions. You know. Getting a lot of rain. It's very hard. In fairness, Andrew and Dave, they have the track in great condition, but it's a very hard call. Do you water today? Don't you water today? Is there one of the showers we're getting at the moment? I mean, you're talking about there's floods coming off a shower. So it's not just day-long rain.
I'm expecting Noah's Ark to pull up outside my door. And he's saying now, to be honest.
Don't forget the other two. You're allowed two more.
Barry, it drives people to the bar all the same. You know, there's nothing like a cold night at the track and a bit wet and windy. Do you know what? We have a little sneaky one, or a little hot whiskey or something, you know.
It's just about getting the designated driver, isn't it? That's what we need. But look, the crowd, just touching on the crowds are coming back. It was the Tuesday night in Shelbourne Park was amazing. You were there yourself. Some crowds there, But I just must say, I was there Thursday night as well myself, and two guys turned up. I think they were at the party on Tuesday night as well. They had the Peaky Blinders caps, and I think they walked in and they got a shock. There was 4,000 people there on Tuesday. I don't think there was 40 there on Thursday. So they were having a good look around, going. I can imagine one fella saying, "You told me this was great." Like, it was. Well, look, Friday and Saturday nights in Shelbourne Park are buzzing, ladies, and I can see it continuing over the Christmas.
Yeah. And you know what, Ian, just to be fair, the sponsor, we're getting great sponsors coming back into the game as well. Even just for the smaller stakes, sponsors were giving us 1,000, 800, 1,500, and we've great stakes on, with great stakes coming up. Matchbook, what can you say about them? Like, you know, they stumped up last year, and I was talking to Paul Geasley there at the launch of it, the draw, and they were delighted with how it went last year, the sign-ups they got from it, like, you know, and it's great to see sponsors being rewarded. It's very easy for somebody to say, any chance you can give us €1,000 for a stake. It's great to see the local people. There was a chemist down our way, and they sponsored a stake, and she came back to me. She said, "I couldn't believe it." She said, "People come in and thank me for it." You know, and it's great to see this kind of support coming back to sponsors, and we need to remember that, you know. It's only a small token. There was a tyre company down our way, and one man went in and got a tyre, I think it was £65. The man that owned the tyre company said, "Come here, sign me up there for next year again." He said, "We're getting a great kick out of this, you know," and it's great to see that, and people remembering and cognizant to support the sponsors, you know.
No, you're dead right, Tom. Listen, obviously the racing is of huge importance. The fact that we have an unbelievable crop of greyhounds around at present, be it stayers, middle distance runners, dogs, bitches, youngsters, old veterans, we have an unbelievable standard of greyhound. But the two things you just mentioned there, bodies through the styles and sponsors, are of huge significance to the future of the sport. And the more we can get back into the styles and the more sponsors we have involved, the better it will be for the game. There was good racing elsewhere, of course, at the weekend. Tom, I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not sure.
There wasn't anywhere else on, was there?
I'm not sure. Keeping an eye on proceedings. I know the man below you on my screen, was keeping an eye on proceedings. Firstly, the National Puppy Stake got underway at Shelbourne Park, Barry. For us, it's always a significant competition. You consider some of the dogs that have emerged from it. Like I named 2 or 3 to highlight, like the likes of Premier Fantasy and New Win Taylor, Ballymac Ariel, Droopy Skulls ran in it. You know, real superstars of the game took their chance in the National Puppy Stake. Going back earlier, the likes of Droopy's Cool, and you know, like this is the type of stake that, you know, the real superstars have always been involved in, and it's a real stepping stone to future success. And we saw some tremendous performances the other evening, but the standout was Undisputed. And Undisputed, I didn't even mention him in my report on Saturday night because he wasn't down to him. Just obviously, it's that time of year, you know. Sometimes trainers disappear off the card, but Nala Monawela has done an unbelievable job with Undisputed, and she's a member of this sensational Pastana Unlock litter, first and second in the heat, because Up the Style, who was one of the real eye catchers in defeat, was second to her sister, and then you had Undulation, who was the Paddy Merriam Memorial winner, winning from her other sister, Press Unlock. 4 members of the same litter into the semi-finals of the National Puppy Stake. And that's not to mention the other 2 heat winners. A very, very fine display by Rathdown Molly. Once again, she's come from nowhere. She's an April 21 whelp for Mary Gilbert and Bill Mulholland. What an early place star she is. And Romeo Cody, the last of the heat winners for Graham Holland, another member of a very fast litter. Romeo recruit Fabulous Mita, of course, trained by Graham for David Firminger. They've had a fair year, but it's a wonderful puppy competition, Barry.
It is, yeah. And as you mentioned, it always has been. I remember I was there as a nipper when Droopy Fuel, I think he got beaten in the final at 1-7 or something like that.
You weren't a nipper now. You weren't a nipper. You were probably having a pint.
But yeah, I remember that race. Just like, this dog can't get beaten. You know, he 1-7, and I think it was Manic Street or Easy Street. One of them dogs beat him in the final.
Manic Street, yeah, I remember. Street, Patrick Grimes, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. And he won it a couple of times. Patrick Grimes. He won it with Run the Black as well. I think he won it back to back. But anyway, yeah, look, it looks to be another top class competition again. And the ladies are 2-4. This Pastana Unlock litter, they're something else, and it's amazing. There was no dogs in the first litter, but I believe she has another litter to Grangeview 10. So name your price there, Mr. Matthews, and say for them ones. You know that way.
Well, it's funny. I was going to say Tom, I believe, is booked in for a dog and a bitch. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, well, I asked for 2 dogs. As I said, I'd take a dog and a bitch if that's the only way it comes to me. Like, you know, who did you say is training the Undisputed?
Nalan Monrawela. Nalan Monuela.
No,
His son is Chandra Monuela, former Hall of Famer or a Special Merit Award winner at the National Pub Stake. They're involved in the game a long time.
Great to see new names coming through, you know.
Yeah, and Nalan's been training for a while now, and they trained for a while, but this is without question the best he's ever had. And of course, Paul Prendergast and Wayne McCarthy are living the dream because undisputed. Well, like in time, she could be one of the best named dogs in training.
She could be, and I think you called it in commentary. There's a good dog there to finish third, belonging to Patrick Guilfoyle and Scaglietti. Yeah. You said he'd be making ground on him down the far side because we've seen him run in a good 5.75 in there. He won a dual distance in there. He didn't make a yard on her. Make a yard on her from the 750 box. And look, it's you can understand why now, doing 28.05. So she's a tremendous bitch. And look, the style in second place. Look, she's no slouch either. You know, that'd be two unbelievable bitches. I think Skip takes a bit of his. Des and Mary Gilbert think a bit of theirs in the first race. Rat down Molly. She's been very good, and she's improved out of all recognition lately. She's just come from, you know, A2, A3 to bang, being one of the best around, and she showed huge early pace.
I was going to say the second she hits the ground, she's just going. She has immediate acceleration that'll really stand to her. She's very exciting.
She is, yeah, she's very good, and you can see Skip is happy enough for her. You know, that way you can see when he talks about her, he likes her. The other quarter final, Undulation and Press Unlock again, the Litter Sisters. A dog in here, Ballymac John Joe, he won on the final night down in Curraheen Park. That dog he's 18.61 for the sprint. Now I know you always say fast dogs can do fast sprints. He mightn't necessarily be a sprinter, but he came out in front of them. The two of them ran away from him into the back straight. And remember, he has 18.60 on his card. So those two, look, again, stars of the sport. And I wouldn't give up on Ballymac John Joe back in third place. It just shows you how strong the competition was. Why Man and Swords Forge getting knocked out there, two high-class puppies as well. And the final heat, Romeo Cody, another one for Graham Holland. Boyle Sports Vic, he's a good dog, finished second for John Boyle and Paul Hennessy. So look, once again, a cracking competition and plenty to look forward to.
Yeah, Boyle Sports Vic strikes me as the type of dog you could see down at Limerick early next year as a big player, but I think 550 yards in Shelbourne Park will be his bag. He is massively fast. He was caught in the hop the other night, but I thought he ran a big race in defeat to be beaten only half length. It'd be great to see John Boyle with a real start to look forward to next year, and he could well have that in Boyle Sports Vic. Just want to mention elsewhere on the Shelbourne Park card, we had 2 or 3 Derby contenders in action. Of course, Ballymac Finn was second in the Derby. He was third in the opening heat of the Talking Dogs Open 525. This was a big run by Droopy's Rocker. He was a dog who started his career in fine style, but just took him a while to find his feet. He'd been racing in very much top company. Flew on Laurel's final night to post 27.93 down there. The other night came from behind Serene Ace to win in 28.16 at Shelbourne Park. They were absolutely rocketing to the third bend, as you'd imagine. Look at the dogs behind them. Ballymac Finn, Kilgraney Sydney, 39 Wings, Crafty Bonanza, high class affair. Droopy's Rocker, another very talented tracker for Johnny Linehan. He has a habit of finding them, Tom.
Johnny Linehan always has, you know, cute Cork fellas, like, you know.
It's a term everyone uses to describe Johnny Linehan. Yeah. I think, is it just the way he looks, the way he talks?
He's a very good looking fella, like, you know, like yourself there, Ian. But, you know, I'm just going through the Shelbourne Park card there now, and what I am seeing, Ian, is the quality of Irish stud dogs. I found Patsy Sabbath and I found Top Poncho. Nearly every other dog is by an Irish and a dog that ran in Ireland and that was quality. I see Ballymac Anton now starting to make an impression, like, you know. But they're all top savings, makeshift. You know, they're all Lahal Bolt, Lochteen Blanco, Droopy Sydney again, Scolari, me daddy. It's great to see the industry coming back to support their own, because for a long time there, it was Australian, it was American, it was everything, except our own. And now we've gone full circle. I think we need to start looking and putting our chest out a little bit now, Ian, and saying we are the greatest country in the world for producing dogs, for producing stud dogs, for producing bitches, and you'll be proud of it.
Well, given the bitches we have at present, there's going to be some crop of greyhounds in the next 4 or 5 years. You can imagine. It's just, but it's true. Like, you know what I mean? If half of them breed well, like, it's unbelievable. At stud dog, I do want to mention is Ballyhimmock and Jess. He's after producing 4 or 5 in the last month and a half or so. Boyle Sports Vic may have been beaten the other night, but I think he's a rare talent. And Boyle Sports gift, while he was up in grade the other night for the first time, I thought he ran okay. He won a stake the previous evening, so it was a bit much to expect him to perform in a contest won in 28:05. But he is producing plenty of fast ones from very limited numbers thus far, so one to keep an eye on. Also, you mentioned Vulturi had a winner. All for the Best was a brilliant winner of the second heat of the Talking Dogs Open 525, and this has to go up there, Barry, as one of the best training performances of the year. This fella hadn't been seen since April. A career, by all accounts, I was told it was a career-ending injury, but then I spoke to John Codd at Enniscorthy one night. He said, we're taking our time, and he says he's looking well in himself, and and here we are. Like that was probably 5 or 6 months ago when I was talking to him. Here we are now. He comes from behind Callaway Pro-Am and Bogger Hunter to win in 28:51. Don't get me wrong, the race sort of ran to suit in a sense where the front two did get in each other's way on a couple of occasions, but he absolutely hammered home. Just great to see him winning again.
Yeah, the brothers done themselves no favours there at all. They ran into each other a couple of times, but look, all for the best. He's just known as a strong four-bend dog, isn't he? 5'7", 600, Shelbourne Park Saturday night. He's a standing dish around there. 12-1 he went off on Saturday night, but like you wouldn't have backed him at 12-1.
I wouldn't. I said to Teddy Hegarty after the race, I wouldn't have backed him at 50-1. I am a massive fan of the dog. He won 600 yards. He hasn't run since April, and he's up against the Derby favourites, beaten Derby favourite, and dogs with strength and early speed and power down the back, and I thought he had absolutely no chance. I thought he was a lamb to the slaughter, and he arrives late, and in my head all I can think is, Fortune, what an idiot you are.
Yeah, look, he even came out well enough, but he was straight to the bend for early pace. He hasn't got the early pace of these sort of dogs, but yeah, even at the sprint box when he turned third or fourth, we know he's strong, but he's not going to pick these up. In fairness, Bogger Hunter and Callaway Pro-Am did come together a couple of times, but look, he's still clocking 28:51 on his comeback run. I'm sure he'll step up in distance after the final this next week, and look, they might get another season out. I'm sure they'll be there for the night of stars for one of those big 575s.
I'm sure they will. The Winter Racing Festival. I do want to mention Callaway Pro-Am, who was third in the race. Of course, he was beaten Derby favourite. He was 1-2 the other night and popped out and looked for all the world that he was going to win, but he clearly badly needed the run. Somebody hasn't been put off, because Boyle Sports went live with their Derby betting yesterday, and he was introduced at 40-1. He's already losing them close to six figures. Somebody went in more than one occasion, and he's now 20-1 joint favourite for the Derby Callaway Pro-Am. So obviously big things expected from this son of Skywalker Farlow in the very near future. He'll be running in that final again on Saturday night.
Was it a cash bet you had, Ian, or did you do it on your account?
I certainly didn't back him. I'm not going to be backing it for the Irish Derby until next July at the earliest, I'd imagine. The final race won in Droopy's nice one. Derby finalist for Murtlahi. Big run from her. Petersburg ran an absolute blinder in second spot. We mentioned Ronnie Woots earlier on. I'm assuming Petersburg out of Vigorous Lindsay is one from Ronnie too, Tom?
Well, look at who's going to be able to buy off Ronnie from now on, I wouldn't mind, but I actually looked at that litter when they were for sale, and we're by Dorota's Wildcat, and that's what put me off. I said, no, I'd like to see him throwing a bit more improvement. And I look at it now and I go, geez.
You could have had the champion on race winner another holidays, the brother.
We could have. But look, I'm so delighted for Ronnie. He's a great supporter to Limerick track, especially, and it's to see these breeders coming out and getting the big time, because Ronnie trundled through there. You mentioned Rock Chase Bullet, and then Ronnie went through tough times, but he's coming through again. He's going to make money out of his breeding side of things now, which is great to see it. And great to see, in fairness to Ronnie, supporting a new dog in stud Droopy's, or Dorota's Wildcat. We need to do that and support these new dogs. You mentioned Ballyhimkin Jet. Unless we support them, we're not going to get there. We're not going to get these dogs. But I'm delighted for Ronnie Woods. Yeah, and just sorry I didn't buy when I saw them advertised.
Yeah, let's take the helicopter to Galway, because it's wonderful, firstly, to see top class racing in Galway. It's also wonderful to see an absolute superstar in action, because Raha Mofo, it seems a long time ago, myself and the Exile Dub had a bit of a debate after her efforts in the opening round of the Sporting Press Irish Oaks. She really is looking sort of more and more the finished article these days. She's a natural starter. And once she gets on that bunny, Barry, she is just immensely fluent, immensely strong. She wins by 11 3/4 lengths the other night in 28:20. She breaks her own 7-day-old track record by 7 spots, a full length, 4-7. 4-7. Wow. Like I've seen much worse 4-7 chances.
That's true. We must just mention, first of all, the commentator. He called it 12 lengths as they went past the line. So he needs to up his game.
Is it George, was it?
I'm not too sure who it was, but he said 1 by 12 lengths. But yeah, it was good. It was a good shout in fairness to him on the night. Yeah, she's a brilliant pitch, isn't she?
No. Come here now. No, must try harder. He's a quarter of a length out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's not great, is it? It's not great. Look, we'll send him down a ruler and a measure tape.
George is one of the best. Absolutely reveling in it. A great commentary the other night for a great display.
It was a good shout in fairness to him. Only a quarter of a length out. But look, yeah, she's a top class bitch, isn't she? We've seen her win a top class Oaks in Shelbourne Park when she got the better of Scooby Duchess late on. That was another good call, that commentary that night, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But she's a top class bitch.
I was in knock.
Well, yeah.
I was in knock praying for you, Barry. I'm not sure my prayers were heard.
You were praying for Scooby Duchess the whole long, I think, were you?
I was in knock. We took a place down in knock. I was staying 100 yards from the shrine. I never saw it.
Look back at it. But look, yeah, she's a wonderful bitch for Marissa Malloy and for Moore. Look, it didn't really happen for her in the Derby. Going up, it's hard going against your own sex against the bigger dogs in the Derby. But look, she ran well in the recent puppy stake, didn't she? She was unlucky in that, I suppose, in the final. And look, she's back to her best there. Track record last week, track record again this week. The only thing is, she's going to have to do everything right. It's not an easy final. I know she's broke track record after track record, but you were saying about 4-7. Would you take 4-7 in the final next week?
Yes.
Yeah,
I would, because if you actually look, the New Nifty is the one with the real early speed on the inside, but Raham Ofro, she's a very natural starter. I'd imagine she'll be there on the corner alongside New Nifty, if not in front of her, and I don't think there's anything can contain her down the back.
Possibly not, but look, you will get 4-7 about her this week. There's Claugheen Last, Magical Poppy, Bacchus Melody, there's some good class opposition, but look, she was the star of the show. Congratulations to her, and yeah, well done to Marissa Malloy and to Moore.
We're talking about top class pedigrees. In behind her was Droopy Sydney, Ballymac Razzle, and Cabra Twister, Magical Poppy. New in Nifty won the other heat. She's a half sister to New in Taylor, a Derby champion. Ballymac Razzler, Cash and Miska. Cash and Miska is a very fast lady. Keep an eye on her next year. And Lee Vanny Dancer for Claugheen Last. Just a top quality lineup for what's turned out to be a really high quality competition. Tom, you wouldn't mind owning any of these 6.
You would not know, and watch Chris Houlihan in the final, Cash and Miska.
Yeah.
Chris is a real final specialist. Great guy, Kerryman, of course. You wouldn't
won a ledger, of course.
He did with Cash Mifuma. I won a few quid the same night. He was a total outsider. I think I got him at 6-1. Total outsider, but a good man to do a dog. I know you have Graham Holland, and you have Pat Guilfoyle, and you have the Raha. I just mentioned the Raha bitch. She's given so much to Greyhound racing. The supporters, the joy she's bringing. There's a couple of lads over in Dubai are actually involved with her, I think, as well. And they go mad over there every night she's running.
And we saw the scenes in New York, in a bar in New York, when she won the Irish Oaks. So
there's connections all over the place.
I tell you what, they're popular. They're popular because Marissa's nephew is a top boxer, and wherever he's fighting or wherever he's training, there's always a crew with them. They're keeping an eye on proceedings. But Raham Ofo, what a star she is. I tell you. Yeah, I'd take 4-7 in the final, although it is a top final, no question about it. I just want to point out how well Galway looks. Is it the camera angle, but also the track just looks like velvet at present, Tom. It's just looks like the most wonderful galloping circuit.
Yeah, it's a place I go to occasionally. It's about an hour and 15 minutes up the road from us. The rugby has helped out. The place looks spectacular with the lush green grass inside there, And again, it's very hard for the ground staff there because there's rugby there, and there's a lot of traversing over and back on top of the actual sand track. And credit due to the ground staff up there. It's considered a slowish track. A lot of our local lads around here are not going to qualify a dog.
She's left scorch marks on it the last 2 weeks.
Doesn't that just go to show the quality that she is, Because definitely, like I said there, the lads go around here that would go up there to qualify would consider it that bit slower. So for her to do that, what is she capable of, And disappointed that she wasn't in the ledger. Gutted, I thought she would have been. But look, that's the way it goes, But I'd love to see her finishing it out. I'd say the celebrations this time could go viral if she does win, So fingers crossed,
Barry, you won't be able to make it. Will you be able to make it? I don't know. Down to the Talking Dogs Roadshow. We're hitting Limerick on December 6th on the Tuesday night. Tom, I'm sure you'll be there.
Oh, I'll be there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If anybody wishes to go, you can express interest in Talking Dogs. At present, we are looking for a A good crowd. We did one for the Ledger, or for the Kirby last year, or Kirby this year, and we got a great crowd, and hoping for more of the same, because it really is a Ledger to savor and to look forward to. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Matchbook Betting Exchange, doing wonderful work, and they will be coming out with some content in the coming weeks ahead of the final and semi-finals. So keep an eye out for that. Barry, anything else to add? Just been a wonderful week or two for Greyhound racing.
Yeah, I just want to add, I was the main man when they done the Talking Roadshow TV production down in Cork, and now I'm not even invited to this one in Limerick. So that just goes to show how they treat their staff. But anyway, look, I would love to go to Limerick for the final. I was down there last year covering for Joe Sheehan when we were doing the Talking Dogs TV. I will be in Cheltenham that weekend. But look, I hope the final's a great weekend, and yeah, I have to make one of these big finals down the country soon.
You'll be in Cheltenham that weekend?
Cheltenham for the international meeting. Yeah,
that's bad news, because I was hoping you'd cover me in Shelbourne.
Sorry about that. No.
But just on that Talking Dogs Roadshow, Ian. I mean, the one we did for the Kirby, that was the first one I think that was ever done. They really are a great night out. And just to say, anybody who is interested, the races are dissected. Dogs are dissected. You learn so much about every dog on the card, not just the Ledger final dog, It's a great night out, and it really should be something that we push more and more and more to get people to go to. It's a great day, great night.
Well, I'll be there. I'll be having a few drinks. We'll have a bit of crack, and we'll send on our best wishes to Barry Caul, wherever he is in Dublin. Gentlemen, that's it from me. That's it from you. Thanks again for all your help. I'm off to brush me hair. What about you, lads?
I'm off to wash my head.
I've been done, lads, and miles ahead of you. You want to be up early? Us Clare fellas are miles ahead of you.
Thanks again. My thanks to Tom Fitz and to Barry Caul on their wonderful work on this Talking Dogs on Monday. We have a tremendous Matchbook Betting Exchange Irish St Ledger to look forward to. We've seen two wonderful rounds, but the best is yet to come, and that's hard to believe. Look at those 4 quarterfinals. Something sensational. But that's it from us on this Monday evening. Good luck, good night, and God bless.